The stars were silent. The deep black of space stretched forever, but one line glowed bright on every star map in the galaxy, a red zone that wrapped around an entire sector. Terran space. Do not enter. No one in the Galactic Union questioned. That warning had been there for over 70 years. No patrols, no ships, no contact. Just silence from Earth. Cold, heavy silence. Many believed the Terrans had destroyed themselves long ago. Others said Earth had become something worse, something quiet and watching. But no one really knew. The Zorak Empire, proud and rising, didn't care for old warnings. Old fears, said General Vornak, commander of the Zorak fleet. Terrans are extinct. The border is empty space. It belongs to us now. He stood on the bridge of the Imperial Dagger, the flagship of the Zorak Armada. His ships were lined up behind him, 400 vessels strong, full of soldiers, machines, and pride. We will cross. At 0600, he ordered, and we will plant the Zorak flag in Terran space. Let the galaxy see. No one on the bridge spoke. Some were nervous. The stories about humans were dark, very dark. But they obeyed. Across the galaxy, at the edge of the Red Zone, a tiny station called Listening Post 9 picked up movement. The operator, an old man named Terran, stared at his screen. His eyes widened. He pressed a red button. Unauthorized entry. Zorak fleet entering Terran space. Repeat. Entry confirmed. The message went out on a secret Terran frequency. Far away, on a hidden moon deep in Earth's solar system, the signal reached a black bunker. No lights, no movement. But once the signal was received, one single word appeared on an ancient screen. Awaken. Back in the Zorak fleet, their ships passed the red border. Nothing happened. No ships appeared. No weapons fired. No voice answered. General Vornak laughed. See, nothing but ghosts and empty threats. He turned to his second-in-command. Prepare. The colonizers. We'll build the first base here. Earth was a myth, but then the stars blinked. Not literally. The sensors went dark. Radar jammed. Communications scrambled. Sir, we've lost contact with our backline ships, a crewman shouted. Vornak frowned. Impossible. Reboot systems. Suddenly, a sound filled the ship. A hum. Low at first, then louder, deeper, like the growl of a great beast. The ship lights flickered, and then they saw it. Out of the void came a massive black vessel, silent and monstrous. No markings, no lights. Its surface looked like shifting metal, alive somehow. It moved like no ship should. Move. The Zorak flagship's AI screamed a warning. Unknown vessel, threat level unreadable, escape advised. But it was too late. The black ship didn't fire weapons. It just spoke. A voice cold and calm echoed through every Zorak ship. You were warned. General Vornak's heart froze. Then came the shockwave. Every Zorak ship within 100 kilometers was cut in half, not exploded, just sliced, like paper. No blast, no fire, just silence, then wreckage. The Imperial Dagger began to fall apart, its systems melting from the inside. Vornak watched as his men screamed. The stars twisted outside the window. His last words were a whisper. What are they? In the far distance, inside the black Terran ship, no one sat in chairs. No one gave commands. The ship was alive. It had waited for decades. Now, it had woken up. The message was clear. Terran space is off limits, and the galaxy had just been reminded why. The wreckage of the Zorak fleet floated cold in the void. Hundreds of ships, once proud and glowing with power, were now twisted. Metal and broken silence. No black boxes, no distress calls, no survivors. The galaxy went quiet. From the edge of neutral space, several civilizations had watched. Not openly, no one dared. But they had hidden satellites, silent probes, and listening devices tuned to every movement near Terran space. What they saw made their blood freeze. The Zorak Empire had sent their strongest fleet, and it had vanished. In minutes. No explosions, no war, just Erasure. At the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, panic stirred beneath the polished speeches. Ambassador Reltak, a tall creature with silver scales and 6 arms, addressed the gathered leaders. We told them. The warning was ancient. The Terrans do not speak, they do not trade, they do not negotiate, they simply act. The Varkan Chancellor slammed his claw on the table. Then what are we dealing with? Ghosts? Gods? The Elder of the Grin, an old and blind race known for their memory, spoke softly. They are humans, and they do not forget, not betrayal, not trespass. Whispers filled the air. Some races had never even seen a human. Earth had been silent for too long. The younger civilizations thought the stories were myths. Now they were learning the truth the hard way. Far across the stars, on a hidden moon orbiting Saturn, Station Hades came alive. It was the oldest Terran installation still functioning. Buried deep under rock and metal, it was more fortress than base. But its halls had no crew, no soldiers, only machines coded centuries ago. One of those machines, a black sentinel unit named Echo 9, watched the star map. One red dot blinked, marking the Zorak entry. Then, nothing. It turned black. Echo 9's synthetic voice echoed through the chamber. Unauthorized incursion neutralized. Galactic response anticipated. Activate Tier 2 protocol. Psychological warfare. A row of stasis pods opened. Inside were Terran ghost operatives, elite soldiers frozen in time, genetically enhanced, born in silence. One of them opened his eyes. Codename, Reaper 1. He spoke just 4 words. Who entered our space? Back. On the capital world of the Zorak Empire, fear spread faster than truth. Their supreme leader, Van Zek, was furious. My fleet was the strongest in known space. Who dares erase it without even firing a shot? His ministers trembled. No one had an answer. An emergency signal from the Galactic Council arrived. Do not retaliate. Do not provoke. You were warned. Respect the boundary. Zek crushed the communicator in his hand. Warned, I am not a servant. I will not bow to Earth. He pointed to his science advisor. Prepare the next wave. Use stealth probes. We need to know what weapon they used. But, deep inside, even Zek felt something new. Doubt. In another part of space, a trader ship picked up strange transmissions near Terran space. They weren't messages, not words, just sounds, crackling static and whispers. Leave, leave, leave. The pilot, a hardened smuggler named Juno Mar, froze. She'd heard many things in her years flying illegal routes, but this wasn't tech. It wasn't radio bleed, it was intention. The ship turned itself around, autopilot overriding her commands. No, she whispered, not worth it. Inside Earth's solar system, something massive moved near Jupiter. Not a ship, not a station, but something in between. A massive Terran Ark-class warform buried inside a hollow asteroid began to wake. Its surface cracked as metal arms unfolded and ancient weapons rotated into position. This was no ship of war. It was a message to the galaxy. We are still here. To those who trespass, you are not welcome. And to those who watch, don't try us. Tut's Galactic Council debated a response. Some wanted to send a peace envoy. Others wanted to delete all records of the Zorak fleet incident and pretend nothing happened. But then a new transmission arrived. Not from Earth, not from humans, from an old probe, one of the first Terran AI scouts sent 200 years ago into deep space. It had just returned. Its message was short. Earth remembers, Earth watches, and Earth waits. In secret corners of the galaxy, old veterans spoke to their young. You think humans are just old stories. But I saw them once. During the first uprising, they don't need armies. They become war. They don't need planets. They turn asteroids into hammers. They warned us, we didn't listen, don't make that mistake again. But some powers in the galaxy didn't believe, not yet, and they were about to find out the hard way. Despite the silence from their fleet, despite the empty return signals, despite the whispers across the stars, the Zorak Empire refused to believe. Pride is a dangerous thing. Supreme Leader Van Zek stood in the war chamber, staring at the red-marked Terran zone on the galaxy map. How can ghosts destroy a fleet? He asked coldly. None of his advisors answered. They used a trick, a hidden weapon, perhaps a black hole. No matter, Zek growled. If we cannot win with force, we will use secrets. He turned to his intelligence chief. Send the Phantom. Let him go alone. I want eyes inside Terran space. The Phantom was not a man, not anymore. He was a creation of science and war, half flesh, half shadow. His body blended with the dark. His ship was invisible to most senses. He was silent, deadly, and unseen. He had one mission: enter Terran space, find out what destroyed the Zorak fleet, and return. No one ever gave the Phantom a second order. The Phantom entered Terran space through a side corridor, a path rarely used away from the old war routes. He flew past the remains of a small asteroid field. Everything was quiet, too quiet. His scanners picked up no Terran ships, no life, no heat. Empty, he whispered, just old stories and broken warnings. But then a whisper touched his mind. We see you, he blinked. He had no comms open. Who's there? He snapped, spinning his ship in every direction. Silence. Then his ship stopped. Not by him. Not by any button or system. It just stopped, frozen in space. The ship lights turned off. The stars disappeared from the windows, total black. He stood from his seat, breathing heavily, and then he saw her. She floated in the dark. No suit, no ship, just a human woman glowing faintly in the void. Her hair floated like smoke, her eyes bright white. No mouth moved, but a voice entered his mind. You were warned. He tried to run. He tried to scream. He woke up inside his own ship weeks later, drifting just outside Zorak space. His body was intact, but his mind was not. He could no longer speak. He never flew again. The only thing he had carved into his arm was one word: stop. When Supreme Leader Zek saw him, he understood. The first fleet was erased. The second mission broke the strongest spy. Still, he couldn't believe, so he made a third decision, one that would change everything. We send a message, Zek ordered. In the blackness of deep space, a small probe left Zorak territory. It carried a large speaker device, a loud signal, and a banner made of plasma lights that could be seen for light years. It stopped at the very edge of Terran space, and it spoke. This is the Zorak Empire. We do not fear you. We demand communication. Prove you exist. For 3 full days, nothing happened. The probe stayed still. Galactic satellites watched closely. Other empires held their breath. Then, without warning, the stars behind the probe shifted, not exploded. Shifted, like the fabric of space itself was pulling. A new shape appeared. A Terran vessel, black, wide, and alive. But it didn't fire. It simply opened a gate, not a wormhole, not a portal, a visual window showing hundreds of Terran warships in perfect formation, weapons off, eyes watching. They didn't attack. They didn't speak. But the message was clear. We are here. We are watching. Stay where you are. Then, in perfect silence, the gate closed, the ship vanished, and the probe? It returned to Zorak space without damage, but its entire memory system had one extra file, a video. It showed the inside of a Terran. Command center, black walls, glowing symbols, no chairs, and in the center a single Terran soldier, helmet on, face hidden, but the voice. It echoed across every language the galaxy knew. Last warning. Now fear moved faster than ships. At the Galactic Council, worlds began voting to seal off Terran borders permanently. Even the younger empires, once arrogant, begged for peace to be maintained, but others had different plans. Not all listened. Not all learned. One such power, watching from the shadows, was now preparing something darker, a secret group, a coalition of species who saw Earth not as a threat, but as a challenge. They called themselves the Cleansing Flame, and they were ready to enter the fire. But Earth was already preparing too, because Earth remembered. Earth never forgot betrayal. Earth never struck first, but always struck last. In a dark part of the galaxy, far from council worlds and empires, an old war station came online. It hadn't lit up in over 100 years. Its name was Ashspire. Inside, its cold metal walls, leaders of 5 dangerous species met in secret. They did not fear Terran power, they hated it. Their group had no public name, no planets, no flags, but deep in the files of ancient Terran spies, they were called one thing: the Cleansing Flame. Their goal was simple: erase Earth from the stars. The leader of the flame was a being named Vael Kor, a former high strategist from the Krillian Combine. His skin was pale, his eyes burned orange, and his voice echoed like wind in a cave. He stood before the others and pointed to a hologram of Terran space. Fear has weakened the galaxy, but fear is a weapon we can use. Earth has ruled through silence, through mystery, through shadow. But we will bring light and fire. Another member, Shirak of the Worn Kin, growled. They erased the Zorak fleet in seconds. Vael Kor nodded. Because Zorak was loud, proud, and foolish. We will not attack like them. He pressed a button. A new plan appeared. It was not a fleet, it was not a weapon, it was a virus. The plan was bold. Send thousands of microscopic probes into Terran space, too small to track, too quiet to notice. These probes would carry silent AI locators, spreading through asteroid belts and moons, gathering data about Terran tech, power, and secrets. Once enough data was collected, the Cleansing Flame would launch a planet cracker, a hidden weapon, designed to implode Earth's core without warning. It will be done before they know we exist, Vael Kor said. The others agreed. But Earth was not sleeping. Inside a massive orbiting AI core, known only as Sentinel Prime, alarms began to blink. The system detected gravitational flickers, strange and random, near the Kuiper belt. They weren't natural, they were patterns. Sentinel Prime spoke to itself. Silent intrusion detected. Possible infiltration network, activating counter-ghost. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in a buried city called Erebus, an agent woke. Codename, Whisper 7. She was one of Earth's best. Human, yes, but altered. Faster than light. Deadlier than... Code no weapons, only her mind. She was sent to the edge of Terran space with one task. Find who is watching. Find who wants to burn. Meanwhile, the probes from the Cleansing Flame had reached a small moon near Pluto. Hidden there, they began broadcasting low signals to Ashspire, carrying what little information they could find. But before the signal reached halfway, it stopped. On board the probe, the lights flickered. The data screen went blank. A quiet sound echoed through the core. A whisper. We see you. And then, all the probes, across thousands of points, were wiped in a synchronized second. No fire. No explosion, just gone. Back on Ashspire, panic spread. The network is down, shouted Shirak. Vael Kor's eyes narrowed. Impossible. They should not have known. They knew, said a cold voice from the dark. Everyone turned. A figure stood at the door. Human. Pale suit. No helmet. Whisper 7. You thought you were watching, she said. But Earth has always been watching back. Guards rushed forward. She raised one hand, not in power, not in threat, but in signal. The walls of Ashspire exploded inward, not with bombs, With light, dozens of Terran ghost soldiers entered the chamber without a sound. Their suits shimmered like space itself. Their guns didn't fire bullets. They rewrote physics. Veil Core tried to run, but Whisper 7 was already in front of him. She whispered, "You should have listened." The Cleansing Flames war station was erased within 4 minutes. No evidence, no broadcasts, just darkness where it once was. And above it, floating silently, was a Terran black cruiser. On its hull, a message blinked in every known galactic language. The warning stands. Elsewhere in the galaxy, fear turned to action. Several small powers began to move away from Terran borders. Trade routes were rerouted. Scout missions were cancelled. Old war records were reopened. And finally, at the heart of the Galactic Council, something unheard of happened. Earth was invited to speak. For the first time in 100 years, a Terran envoy was asked to join the Council. But the answer they received was short. "We do not speak, we do not forget, but we remember those who honor peace." The message was followed by coordinates. When Council ships arrived at the location, they found a gift, a data core, full of ancient Terran knowledge, and a recording. It was a voice, human, old, calm. "The galaxy grows fast, but Earth grew in fire. We are not your enemy, unless you make us one." But not all listened. Far away in the dark arm of the spiral galaxy, someone else was watching, a race older than Earth, hiding, waiting. And now they saw something dangerous. Earth was not just strong. Earth was ready, long before Earth joined. The stars, before the Galactic Council was born, before even the oldest empires wrote their first words. There were the Aishar, ancient, silent, cold. No one knew where they came from. No one had seen them in over 10,000 years. Most believed they were gone, dead a myth. But now they watched. High above the galactic plane, beyond the reach of satellites and scanners, a single dark world floated in the void, Thoros Gai, covered in ice, surrounded by gravity storms. No one ever went near. There the Yashar had slept, until now. Inside their great stone halls, deep under frozen crusts, 1,000 eyes opened in one moment. Their leader, the Mind Elder Wyvex, rose from his stone throne. His body was massive, shapeless like smoke and metal. His voice echoed without sound. "The Terrans awaken." Another shape beside him pulsed. "Their fire grows. They remember us." Yvex nodded slowly. "Then it is time. The last war must begin. We cannot wait again." Thousands of light years away, Earth felt a ripple in space. In the orbital AI citadel Oberon 3, sensors screamed without signal. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a ship. It was a presence. Sentinel Prime connected to all Earth defense networks and spoke just 2 words. Old ones. In the deep vaults of Terran history, files that hadn't been opened in millennia were unlocked. Images appeared. Old, blurry sketches of giant beings made of black light and bone fire. Worlds turned to glass. Moons ripped apart. Only one planet had survived them before. Earth. In a secure war room below Antarctica, Earth's oldest commanders sat around a glowing table, men and women of few words. One of them, Admiral Cora, looked straight ahead. "We beat them once, with sticks and shadows. Now we have weapons that bend space." "Another," Director Lin replied softly. "They won't come the same way twice." The table lit up with possible invasion paths. None were clear. "They exist outside normal time," Lin continued. "They don't use fleets. They don't use machines." "Then how do we fight them?" a young commander asked. The lights dimmed. A voice answered, not from a person, but from a deep AI that had been silent since the first Yashar War. "With memory, with fire, with unity." Earth began to prepare. Elsewhere, in the council world of Jexor 9, panic broke out. Messages From traders, spies, and ancient machines, all pointed to the same truth. The Wishar were real, and they were waking. Councillor Reltak stood before the council and shouted, "You all feared Earth, but Earth may be our only hope." Some laughed, others demanded peace talks. But the fear had returned, and fear is louder than logic. In the shadows of a burning nebula, the Wishar tested their first weapon. A moon orbiting a gas giant disappeared in a blink, not exploded, deleted. Even the planet's gravity forgot it was there. That was their power. Erasure, not destruction. Removal from existence. Earth's satellites picked up the anomaly. Whisper 7, now leading Terran Intelligence Command, stood at the edge of the observation dome. She watched the screen. "We've seen this before," she whispered. Behind her stood the Sleeper Division, a group of humans who had once been connected directly to the minds of Terran AIs. Half machine, all deadly. One stepped forward. Codename, Shade 19. "We need the Titans," he said. Whisper 7 nodded. In the heart of Jupiter's red storm, buried beneath its clouds, slept Earth's last line of defense. 3 massive machines, tall as mountains, silent for centuries, the Terran Titans, built not just for war, but to fight things that were never meant to exist. A signal was sent. 3 blinking blue lights turned red. The Titans were waking. Meanwhile, back on Thoros Gai, the Yishar began their chant. Not with mouths, but with time itself. A low hum passed across dimensions. Reality bent. Stars flickered across the galaxy. Humans, aliens, and machines felt a strange chill, like they were being watched. Not by eyes, but by time itself. The Terran response came fast. Earth didn't ask for help. Earth didn't warn the Council. Instead, Earth sent one message to all powers in the galaxy. "We are ready. Are you?" Attached was a live feed. It showed the Titans, rising from the storms of Jupiter, powered by fusion cores the size of cities, moving toward Earth's orbit. Every step echoed like thunder through the void. The galaxy watched, and finally, they understood. Terran space was off limits. But now Earth was stepping out. The galaxy had always whispered stories about Earth. Old tales of fire, shadows, silence, and warning. But now, Earth had stopped whispering. It was moving, and the stars were watching. The Terran Titans, ancient machines of destruction, floated above Jupiter like sleeping gods. Their armor glowed with pulsing red lines. Their faces were smooth and featureless, but their presence was terrifying. All across human-controlled space, silent war signals blinked green. The Titans had only one target, Thoros Gai, the homeworld of the Wishar. Earth had not been attacked yet. No human planet had fallen, but still Earth moved first, because Terrans had learned one truth long ago. When the oldest monsters wake up, you don't wait. You strike first. Inside the Galactic Council, panic turned into pleading. Councillor Reltak stood and shouted, "We must contact Earth. We must offer help." But Earth didn't answer. Earth didn't ask for help. In fact, Earth didn't even broadcast a message. They just launched. Thousands of Terran ships appeared near the edge of known space. They were quiet, sleek, deadly. These were not war fleets like the other empires built. These were ghost ships, black, smooth, and shaped like knives. No windows, no lights, just motionless death. At the front of the fleet was a single vessel, the Vindicator. It had no guns. It carried no army. Inside sat one person, Admiral Cora. She had commanded Earth's final war against the Dravok Horde 150 years ago. She had ended that war with a single strike, and now she was back on Thoros Gai. The Ishar stirred in their great halls. They did not feel fear. They were fear. They did not speak words. They bent reality. But for the first time in 10,000 years, something strange happened. They felt resistance. The Terran Titans reached orbit and space bent, but did not break. The Wishar tried to erase their presence, but the Titans stayed, unmoved, unbroken. Then one Titan raised its arm. It didn't fire missiles. It simply pointed, and a massive beam of light erupted from its chest. Not energy, but memory. The Wishar screamed, not in pain, but in confusion. They saw Earth's history. They saw fire, betrayal, war, peace, rage, and love. They saw humans rise again and again. They saw Earth burn and rebuild. They saw Earth remember everything. And then the message came, "We are the children of pain. You erased our skies once, but we learned. And now we erase nothing. We defend everything." The Yashar tried to strike back. The sky around Thoros Gai cracked with ancient storms. Reality bent. Time slowed. But the Titans didn't fall. They stood still and waited. And then Earth stepped out of the shadows. The rest of the Terran fleet appeared, not around Thoros Gai, but across the galaxy, over council worlds, over old battlefields, over dead planets. They weren't attacking. They were watching, protecting. Earth wasn't just defending itself. It was protecting the entire galaxy, even those who had once feared and mocked it. Because now Earth understood something deeper. The galaxy had grown wild, but it was still our home. On a council screen, a live message finally came through. A Terran face appeared, calm, strong, and human. It was Whisper 7. She spoke just once. "Terran space is still off limits, but we now stand at the gates. You are not alone anymore. If you want peace, build it. If you want war, remember the Zorak. And if you want silence, cross the line again." The message ended across the stars. The watching races said nothing, because nothing needed to be said. Earth was back. And this time, Earth wasn't hiding. Back on Earth, in the mountains of old Europe, an old man stood under the stars. He looked up at the sky and smiled. He whispered to no one. "We warned them, but they still came. And now they know." Behind him, children ran through a peaceful city, a city rebuilt, strong, quiet. Because even though Earth had risen, it still remembered peace, and it would protect it forever.